Hello and welcome to yet another course introduction video to Microsoft official curriculum. Now this time, we are just going to go into another product called SharePoint. Now this is one of the most popular course, ever attended by so many people, whoever, technical people that you wanted to get to know SharePoint. Now this is course official number 20331, This is on SharePoint version 2013. Now, for version 2016, there will be upcoming course videos for that. So we will have 14 modules to be covered in 5 days. So for any one of those system engineers or system administrators who are already familiar with the Active Directory, the domain, you need to understand, let's say, what is DNS, the web server role, as well as group policies. Now you are in for the right course, because this course are really for the technical system administrators who are going to assume the role of becoming a farm administrator. So without further delay, let's go into the modules. So we begin with module 1, which is an introduction to SharePoint 2013. So you will understand all the bits and pieces of what SharePoint can do, what is this SharePoint product is all about, what are the different workloads that it can handle, and stuff like that. So now the next 3 modules, beginning with module 2, 3, and 4, would be very theoretical. Typically, it's to strengthen your knowledge about the entire architecture provided by SharePoint. Now, beginning with module 2 on information architecture, module 3, it's about the logical architecture, and module 4 is about the physical architecture. Now, usually, I would draw out diagrams in the classroom on the whiteboard to explain to you the overall logical architecture of the entire SharePoint implementation, namely on the farm level all the way down to individual sites. Then, of course, the physical architecture will lay out the physical server topology, namely the 3-tier server topology from the back end to the middle tier until the front end. Now, having been equipped with all this knowledge, then we can start into the practical zone. Now, module 5 is the first module that covers the practice, whereby you learn how to install and configure your SharePoint server version 2013. Now, we will actually come up with an implementation whereby SharePoint has already been installed, but you will learn how to configure and create the first initial SharePoint farm. Now, having said so, your SharePoint server now, it's already done, but nothing is complete without all your different web applications as well as the site collections. So that's what we're going to cover in module number 6. Module 6, you will learn creating web applications and site collections. This is a very important module for you guys who intend to know what are the important aspects of creating the necessary web applications, which act as a container for one or more upcoming site collections. So you need to also learn how to plan how many site collections that you will ever need in your organization, and from there we will spin off any number of sites below the site collection. Next, module 7. Now, apart from the web applications, SharePoint do support another type of applications called service applications. You see, apart from hosting web applications, SharePoint has a myriad of services running in the background that exposes functionality for certain number of workloads. So there are well over 30 type of service applications. So you will learn how to use the UI or even the PowerShell level on creating and managing or even configuring all the service applications. So then we step into module number 8. Now, module 8, it's about managing users and permissions. Now, module 8 and 9, it's somewhat closely related, because module 9 is focusing on authentication. But now let's talk about module 8, whereby it's a very simple module talking about how you as a farm level administrator, or maybe you're the administrator for a site collection, that allows you to start granting access or permissions to users and putting them into members of a group. So we also deal with Active Directory groups, as well as SharePoint groups. So these are what we're going to cover in module number 8. Now, moving on to module number 9. Module 9, right, okay, we're going to look into how do we configure authentication for SharePoint 2013. Now, this module is pretty exciting because the exercises that you are bound to have will talk about having two separate environments. Actually, in terms of the SharePoint farm, there's only one farm, but to a domain. Now, you will have a foreign domain, a secondary domain whereby you don't have the SharePoint, but you rather want the users from the second domain to come into the domain number 1 where SharePoint farm is installed. So we will talk about how do we configure cross-domain authentication, typically by applying ADFS, Active Directory Federation Service. Pretty exciting module here. Now, module 10, further in terms of securing the entire SharePoint 2013 deployment, you learn how to strengthen the certain areas of SharePoint, namely changing port numbers to your backend database on SQL Server, as well as maybe even applying HTTPS and stuff like that. Now then, the next 3 modules will be focusing on different service applications. Now, back in module number 7, whereby you learn about how to configure overall different service applications, now we focus in-depth coverage into 3 separate service applications. Beginning with module 11 about taxonomy, you will learn more about the managed metadata service and how important the taxonomy serve in a particular organization and how SharePoint can enforce that. Number 2, in module 12, you'll learn how to configure your user profile service. This is to ensure that every single user in your SharePoint do come along with a profile that they can import directly from Active Directory. Now from there, you can spin off the implementation of creating personal sites for each of the user. All these are provided under the facility called My Site. Now, the last service application that we focus primarily would be the search service application. So in module 13, you've got to learn how to configure an enterprise search capability using the search service application. You will learn how the overall constructs of how to create a search service implementation, right, so that every single content in your SharePoint can be searched. Now that brings us to the very last module 14, right on the very last day, whereby you learn how to monitor closely and also maintenance of your SharePoint Server 2013 environment. This is what typical farm administrator supposedly to be equipped with. So 14 modules in 5 days. Okay, pretty exciting because this will give enough attention and technical aspect knowledge about how SharePoint 2013 will behave right from the very start, installing and configuring all the way until implementation of web applications and service applications. So do hit the button, do contact our sales, right? Register for the course, and I'll see you in class. Thank you very much for watching.